We've all been there. You just ate a delicious meal and now you're feeling sleepy. So you lay back in your chair to take a quick nap before it's time to go back to work. But where did your food go? What happens after you swallow? Let's follow a bite of pizza as it takes the incredible journey through your digestive system. Our story begins in your mouth, where teeth both mechanical and chemical digestion. Mechanical digestion is the physical breakdown of food into smaller pieces. And the first step in this process is chewing. When you eat, muscles in your mouth, tongue, and throat work together to help manipulate your food into a soft mass called a bolus. The tongue then pushes this bolus to the back of your throat and down the esophagus. Chemical digestion is the breakdown of food by substances such as acids and enzymes. As you chew, glands in your mouth release saliva onto the bolus, moistening it and helping break it down chemically. Saliva contains enzymes like amylase, which begin digesting starches, complex carbohydrates found in foods like bread and pasta. Lingual lipase is another enzyme found in saliva that begins breaking down fats in foods such as cheese or pepperoni on your pizza. Once the bolus is ready, your body starts the swallowing reflex. Muscles in your throat, called the pharynx, contract to push the bolus down your esophagus. This tube connects your mouth to your stomach and is one way that chemical digestion continues. The mucus lining, the inside of your esophagus, protects the cells from being damaged by stomach acid. After about 9 seconds, the bolus enters your stomach, a J-shaped muscular organ located in your upper abdomen. When the bolus enters, it triggers the release of two important chemicals, gastrin and histamine. Gastrin stimulates parietal cells in the stomach lining to secrete gastric acid. This potent liquid contains hydrochloric acid and is an essential component of chemical digestion in the stomach. Histamine also triggers parietal cells to secrete acid, but it also works with gastrin to stimulate chief cells to secrete pepsinogen, which becomes the enzyme pepsin when exposed to the acidic environment created by the parietal cells. Pepsin begins breaking down proteins found in foods like cheese and pepperoni. As these enzymes are working to break down your pizza, the muscles of the stomach are churning and mixing the bolus with gastric juices. The result is a partially digested liquid called the strong acids and enzymes in the stomach can kill most bacteria ingested with food. However, some microbes can survive this harsh environment and make it to your small intestine. Luckily, if you have a healthy gut microbiome, these bad bacteria stand no chance. When the chyme is released from the stomach, it enters the duodenum, the first section of your small intestine. Here the chyme is mixed with digestive juices from two major organs, the pancreas and the liver. These organs secrete bicarbonate to neutralize the acid and enzymes to digest the remaining components of your pizza. Trypsin and chymotrypsin are enzymes secreted by the pancreas that break down proteins. Pancreatic amylase also breaks down starches into simple sugars called Finally, pancreatic lipase breaks down fats into fatty acids and glycerol. Meanwhile, the liver is hard at work producing bile, a substance that helps break down fats. Bile salts are the active ingredient in bile, and they work by They surround fat droplets and break them up into smaller droplets. This increases the surface area of the fat, making it easier for lipase to break the fat down into fatty acids and glycerol. Bile salts also help carry away the products of fat digestion, so that they can be absorbed later. Bile is stored in the gallbladder until it is needed. When chyme enters the duodenum, the gallbladder contracts and releases bile into the small intestine. Bile is not an enzyme, so it doesn't chemically digest the pizza, but it is an important component of mechanical digestion. In addition to bile, the liver produces another substance called bile pigments. These pigments give bile its characteristic dark green color. Once in the small intestine, bile pigments become part of the brown-colored substance called bile. As the chyme travels through the small intestine, the inner lining of the intestine, known as the mucosa, secretes intestinal juice. This watery fluid contains enzymes that complete the digestion of carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Maltase, sucrase, and lactase are three enzymes produced by the intestinal lining that break down double sugars like sucrose and lactose into monosaccharides, which are simple sugars like glucose and galactose. These simple sugars are now ready to be absorbed by the small intestine and used for energy. Dipeptidases and aminopeptidases are enzymes found in the intestinal lining that break down peptides and proteins into individual amino acids that can then be absorbed by the small intestine and used to build new proteins. Finally, the intestinal lining produces lipases that break down triglycerides into monoglycerides and free fatty acids. These components are then packaged into lipoproteins and absorbed by the small intestine. The small intestine is specifically designed to absorb these digested nutrients. Its inner lining is folded into millions of tiny finger-like projections called villi. Each villus contains a network of capillaries and a lymphatic vessel called a As qi passes through the small intestine, the digested nutrients pass out of the intestine and into the bloodstream through the monosaccharides, amino acids, and fatty acids travel in the blood to the liver via the hepatic portal vein. The liver regulates the distribution of these nutrients to the rest of the body. Any excess glucose is stored in the liver as glycogen. If the body needs more glucose, it can break down the glycogen and release the glucose into the bloodstream. Undigested material from the pizza, such as fiber, moves into the large intestine. No chemical digestion occurs in the large intestine, but bacteria living in the colon can break down some undigested plant material. They do this through fermentation, a process that also produces gases like carbon dioxide, hydrogen, and methane. These gases can cause the familiar intestinal discomfort and flatulence we all experience. Another important function of the large intestine is water reabsorption. Water is drawn out of the undigested material and into the bloodstream, leaving behind a more concentrated solution. This helps prevent dehydration and ensures that the body is conserving water. Now the leftover material is in the form of feces. Feces are stored in the rectum until they are eliminated from the body during defecation. This journey that started in your mouth is now complete. It took about 6 to 72 hours for the pizza to be digested and absorbed. Hopefully, you learned a lot along the way. Let's review what happens to that bite of pizza as it journeys through your amazing digestive system. You start off with a bite of pizza containing carbs, protein, and fat. Teeth mechanically break it down while saliva moistens the food and enzymes begin chemical digestion. Once it's ready, you swallow, and the bolus makes its way down the esophagus to your stomach. There it mixes with gastric juices and enzymes, breaking down the pizza into chyme. Pancreatic enzymes and bile help break down the remaining components, and the liver produces bile to help emulsify the fats. Enzymes in the small intestine complete the digestion of the pizza. Nutrients are absorbed through the villi and undigested material moves into the large intestine. Bacteria in the colon help break down some of the remaining material, and water is reabsorbed. Finally, the waste is eliminated from the body. Now that you know how digestion works, you can take steps to keep your amazing digestive system running smoothly. First, you need to eat a balanced diet with plenty of fiber. Fiber is a type of carbohydrate that humans cannot digest, but it is essential for good digestive health. Fiber adds bulk to the stool, making it easier to pass during defecation. It also acts as a food source for the beneficial bacteria in the colon. These bacteria ferment the fiber and produce short-chain fatty acids that the colon cells can use for energy. In addition to eating enough fiber, you also need to drink plenty of water. Water keeps the stool soft and easy to pass, and it helps prevent constipation. You should also avoid processed foods and sugary drinks. Processed foods are often high in unhealthy fats and low in fiber, which can slow down the passage of food through the digestive tract and lead to constipation. Sugary drinks can also contribute to digestive problems. They can cause an imbalance in the gut microbiome and lead to inflammation and disease. Finally, you can support your digestive health by managing stress and getting regular exercise. Stress can affect the function of the digestive system and lead to problems like irritable bowel syndrome. Exercise, on the other hand, can help promote healthy digestion and prevent constipation. Hopefully, this video has inspired you to learn more about your digestive system. Take charge of your gut health and you will be on the road to overall wellness.